the needs of the people first. Join the mission to rescue South Africa. The next broadcast will start shortly. Did you know the best run municipalities in South Africa are all governed by the DA? DA mayors are working hard to protect residents from bad governance and mismanagement by getting the basics right, delivering better services and having zero tolerance for corruption. This is the DA difference. The next broadcast will start shortly. Follow us on social media for the latest in news and politics in South Africa. Like and follow our page on Facebook. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. Be part of the conversation. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And please, like and share our videos with your friends and family. The next broadcast will start shortly. If you care about South Africa and want to make a positive difference, then join the DA. Visit our website at da.org.za for more information. Find out who represents you in your ward and district. Who are the DA mayors working for you in your town or city, and which MPs represent you and your causes in Parliament. On our website, you can learn more about our latest campaigns and how you can get involved. Join the Democratic Alliance to rescue South Africa. Become an activist, become a councillor, become a member of Parliament if you care about South Africa. Please visit donate.da.org.za. Donate to a cause you believe in. Donate to make a difference. Welcome to a broadcast of the Democratic Alliance. Did you know the Democratic Alliance is the stable anchor of the Government of National Unity? DA ministers and DA deputy ministers are getting things done with a special focus on job creation and economic growth, driving down the cost of living and placing the needs of the people first. Join the mission to rescue South Africa. The next broadcast will start shortly. Did you know the best run municipalities in South Africa are all governed by the DA? DA mayors are working hard to protect residents from bad governance and mismanagement by getting the basics right, delivering better services and having zero tolerance for corruption. This is the DA difference. The next broadcast will start shortly. Follow us on social media for the latest in news and politics in South Africa. Like and follow our page on Facebook. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. Be part of the conversation. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And please, like and share our videos with your friends and family. The next broadcast will start shortly. If you care about South Africa and want to make a positive difference, then join the DA. Visit our website at da.org.za for more information. Find out who represents you in your ward and district. Who are the DA mayors working for you in your town or city, and which MPs represent you and your causes in Parliament. On our website, you can learn more about our latest campaigns and how you can get involved. Join the Democratic Alliance to rescue South Africa. Become an activist, become a councillor, become a member of Parliament if you care about South Africa. Please visit donate.da.org.za. Donate to a cause you believe in. Donate to make a difference. Let's rescue South Africa. Join the DA, because the DA gets things done.
Members of the media, South Africans watching at home, welcome to the DA's campaign election update. All across South Africa, DA representatives and the blue machine have kicked into high gear as we reach into every city, town and community to bring the DA's message of hope to all South Africans. The DA's election campaign is complex and a multi-layered operation. It is a real testament to the party's ability to organize and deliver. In every ward, every town, and every province throughout the land, we have campaigns running, rolling out the DA's message of good governance, and they are all being coordinated at national level by our two national campaign managers, Ashos Rupen and Werner Horn, who will now be taking you through the details and the updates of our campaign. Ash?
Thanks, Jan. The DA's election campaign for 2026 is going strong and full steam ahead. Our public representatives, our branches, our ancillary organizations, our structures, our members, our activists, and our volunteers are hard at work speaking to South Africans on a day-to-day basis about what matters most to them. The DA's foot soldiers are now present in every corner of the country as our party grows and our structures expand, and the footprint of our campaign continues to expand. Our recent victory in Mfuleni Ward 28 was an outright DA victory in a 100% township ward. This victory shows that the DA is growing and winning in every part of South Africa. The DA continues to appeal to more and more voters of every demographic, and this is reflected not only in our growth in by-election wins, but also in external polls and research too. Our membership book continues to grow and now stands at our largest ever number. Paid up and audited party members now number over 140,000, having grown tens of thousands since the DA's entry into the government of national unity. The DA's membership base as a percentage of vote share far exceeds international standards. And the trend in other democracies is declining paid-up party membership in favor of more casual online following and social media interaction. The DA bucks this trend. This bodes well for us as we head towards the election in November. The DA's offer in this election is built on our track record of good governance. The DA is consistently recognized and rated as running the best performing local governments in South Africa. This spans national government reporting like the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation, to the Auditor General's reporting and Stats SA's research and service delivery and living standards as well. The recent Ratings Africa report shows that DA local governments lead the pack in South Africa. Where the DA govern, things work. Services are delivered, water flows from taps, electricity flows to homes and businesses, streetlights work, roads work, and potholes are filled. The local economy is developed and supported so jobs are created. We have packaged this together under our election slogan, towns and cities that work for all. And our offer to South Africa is very simple. If you want your town or your city to work, you need a DA-led local government. The fullness of our offer will be made in our national manifesto. Our manifesto builds on years of DA governance experience blended with aspirational innovations to make life better for millions of South Africans, and a very frank account of the serious challenges hundreds of local authorities face today after 32 years of failed governance at a local level. In November last year, the DA's National Policy Conference provided significant direction to our manifesto. And in April this year, the DA's Federal Congress passed a series of policy proposals, which in turn will provide direction to our manifesto. It is a manifesto that has undergone significant consultation with an array of external inputs, costings, and economic modeling, and extensive workshopping across the party itself. This past weekend at our Federal Council, the manifesto went through its final approval step. The manifesto is now ready for launch. So these are our plans, and we will present our manifesto to the people of South Africa on our launch date. So today we announced that we'll be launching our national manifesto on the 8th of August 2026, that is a Saturday. We will hold our manifesto launch in one of the most significant and symbolic places in South Africa. The failure of this particular local metro municipality has left it devastated and broken, and the hope of turning it around now only rests at the ballot box. So the DA will be holding our national manifesto launch in the city of Johannesburg, declaring our absolute intention to govern that city and many other places after the election. It will be a political rally with thousands of DA supporters with a keynote speech delivered by DA Federal Leader Jordan Hill-Lewis. Vanna, over to you.
Thanks, Asher. So the manifesto is to be launched fairly early on in the campaign cycle after the voters' roll is closed. And after that specific moment, we will take this offer we make in the manifesto to South Africans through everywhere in the country. We're quite confident that it will find resonance amongst people of all ages, demographics, and geographics. People of all economic means, employed and unemployed, those yearning for services and those desperate to keep good DA delivery in place will be reached through our campaign to introduce the manifesto. We will try and meet with voters where they are, in their homes, where they meet and congregate, where they pray, at town hall meetings, online for those who can log on, through a series of campaign events in every province in a scale that we've not seen before. The federal leader, Jordan E. Lewis, will ultimately lead this charge, and details of his participation in rolling out the manifesto, presenting it to South Africans throughout the country, will be shared after the manifesto launch. We have been first out of the blocks at every step important to the local government elections of 2026. We opened our candidate selections before any other party, ensuring that a meticulous and thorough process could be undertaken. Our process of candidate selection began in 2025 already, and during this process we received the highest number ever of aspirant candidates for the Democratic Alliance from a diverse number of wards across South Africa. This is another testament to the growth and the size of the DA, and it shows that we are now in more places seen as the hope for change and delivery. Last night, the IEC announced that it's opened the online candidate nomination system, and we proud to announce that we are already in 6 out of the 9 provinces in a position that our lists are ready for submission. These candidates have been legally vetted, interviewed, tested, their qualifications checked, and they've been put through a rigorous process to assess their work ethic and their commitment to communities. This makes it possible to say that we are on track to submit our candidates' lists to the IEC well ahead of the deadline, as all DA processes are currently proceeding strictly according to our own internal timelines. Over and above councillor candidates, the DA has of course also announced mayoral candidates in the metropolitan municipalities and many local municipalities across South Africa. Where we have identified winnable municipalities, DA mayoral candidates are leading the charge to get those places working. And that is more or less a number, more than double the number of municipalities where we are currently in government. In just the past week, we've of course announced mayoral candidates for Umgeni, Chris Papas, and in Hantam. We note that other parties have promised to announce their mayoral candidates earlier this week, but as has sort of come to be expected, it was yet another promise that were broken. We can only speculate that internal temperature there might be too hot to play open cards with voters and residents about who they will put forward as mayoral candidates. Our mayoral candidates, in contrast, are already hard at work, campaigning for wins. Asher?
Thanks, Vanna. So since our candidate selection has been underway, our campaign has also covered a mammoth national voter registration campaign. Our registration posters remain up, prominent and visible in every community in South Africa. The DA is preparing for us the second voter registration weekend on the 1st and 2nd of August for a full-scale national registration weekend operation, and we will be present at voting stations across the length and breadth of South Africa. The DA's voter registration campaign is working. The DA's goal was to ensure that eligible voters are empowered to get themselves registered to vote on Election Day. And strategically, the DA is targeting the registration of DA supporters who need our help to either register for the first time or be correctly registered. We are confident that by the time the roll closes, on the ground, having knocked on doors and spoken to voters directly and facilitated getting them to the IEC, that we will have completed almost 500,000 registrations for the party. This is solely based directly on who we have canvassed. We are on track for our most successful registration campaign in DA history. There are many other DA voters for whom we do not have direct data on, whom we have not canvassed, who may well be registering. In the past 30 days, the DA has seen a swell of registrations in DA strongholds and among DA supporters, and our data shows that over 200,000 supporters have successfully registered in the past 30 days alone. These numbers are heavily concentrated in the major metros. In Cape Town, we estimate we have registered over 55,000 DA supporters directly. In Nelson Mandela Bay, over 20,000, and in Johannesburg, over 45,000. The province of Gauteng is now the single largest contributor of DA registration according to the latest voters roll. This is a very good sign, as the DA targets Gauteng's municipalities to win and to form governments there that work for the people. But voting for change and voting for the DA is only possible if voters are correctly registered to vote. So to all DA voters out there, do not wait for election day to find out, because then it is already too late. Finally, it is no secret that the two major competitors in South African politics are the DA and the ANC. And it's no secret that the DA seeks to win local authorities away from the ANC, and by 2029 to overtake the ANC and become South Africa's largest party. We are therefore very enthused to see that voter support remains behind a growing DA stake of votes and the consistent decline in ANC support. This opens up the very real possibilities for new DA local governments in almost 100 municipalities. As is no secret, our modelling and research is generally watertight. And currently, our modelling shows that at today's support levels, the ANC is on track to lose approximately 500 council seats. That's a massive number, and we estimate that the ANC will lose about 11% of its councillors. This opens up a wave of renewal, and the DA is dead set on contesting every single one of those seats. Our target is to contest and win as many as possible. Certainly, many will be lost to the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng, and these are the battlegrounds where inroads will be made. So, in conclusion, we are launching our national manifesto on the 8th of August, 2026 in Johannesburg. Our candidate selection processes are on track, and 6 of our 9 provincial lists are already complete and approved. Voter registration is going very, very well, and the DA is set to exceed our targets. And at current support levels, modelling shows that the ANC is on track to lose no less than 500 council seats. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Ashaw and Werner. We will now take questions from the media. Are there any questions? I see 2 hands. You can proceed. Thank you.
Just a couple of questions. My name is Mawalu and just on City of Cape Town. City of Cape Town, I know it's an important metro, important part of your campaign. The AG's findings, the unqualified audit with findings from the AG, will this have any impact on your clean governance record in the City of Cape Town in the run-up to the election? Do you see this being used against the DA in any way? Because we know this is the first time there's been a finding. It's an unqualified one, but there were supply chain issues. And just on that, don't you think that might be an issue going forward for the party in the City of Cape Town? And on equitable share withholding by the finance minister or the National Treasury, which Ashaw sits in that National Treasury as the deputy minister, you would have a better understanding of the impact of that decision than anyone. I'm not sure if any of these 69 municipalities, any of them are DA controlled in any way. I haven't checked that, but will this have any unintended consequences? I know these municipalities, the DA is quite invested in a lot of them. Nelson Mandela Bay, the DA, that's one of the metros that are on that list. Could this have any unintended consequences for these councils that we already know are in dire straits financially? And just my final question on mayors: have you finalized your mayors for all 247 councils? Basically, has the DA finalized that process, or are you still busy with that? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mbaldu.
Good afternoon, Sine from News 24. The first question, just to latch on to Babalo's question. Are you also worried, when you answer Babalo's on the AG, but are you worried about the potential impact that the public protector's report into Langa and Kailicha's service delivery failures? Are you worried about how that could also impact on your support going into the elections? Second question, Mr. Horn, you were talking about for being first out the blocks. Are you perhaps worried that come October, all of that energy will be spent, essentially? And how do you mitigate some of those, especially in a context where a lot of people are just done with politicians and voting? And just the last question, you were mentioning about 6 out of 9 lists being ready. What are some of the issues with the other 3 provinces? And can we get an indication of which 3 provinces are not ready at this point, or gas issues?
Thank you, Sine. I think that's about 6 questions, so let's do that round first, and then we can open it up again. Thank you. Saj?
Thanks. So, Mabalo, on City of Cape Town's AG finding on the supply chain issue, it's important to look at what the supply chain issue was. The city disqualified a bidder on the basis that the firm was previously owned, the owner of the firm had a separate company that had previously not been allowed to do business with the city for underperformance. And the city's view was very simply that they look at the ownership. The AG's view was that each entity is a juristic entity on its own, and that we couldn't take into account the prior performance of the owner's previous firm. That was the finding. So it was not a finding of maladministration or corruption. That was the finding. And it's important that we look at the facts of what the AG found. So will that be used against us? I think it's extremely difficult to argue when you look at the facts of the matter. On the equitable share and the 69 municipalities that have been withheld, and the core question you asked is, are there any unintended consequences for the councils? The reality is that the National Treasury has done everything it can to support municipalities. They have produced MFMA circulars. They have constantly sent technical officials out to assist. They have sent warning letters. They have driven processes for many years. So what is the withholding of equitable share intended to achieve? Corrective behavior. And what have we said needs to be done? The first is fruitless, wasteful expenditure, unauthorized expenditure, and irregular expenditure must be investigated, regularized where it can be regularized, and there must be consequence management where it was fraudulent or any other of those things, and that people must be held to account, first and foremost. The second is that there is a huge amount of debt. Eskom debt is ballooning, and municipal debt to Eskom is over 100 billion rand. And what we have done with these municipalities is incredibly simple. We've just said to them, pay your bills. Now, many of them come back and say, we don't have the money because you're withholding the equitable share. We said, perfectly fine. We will release the tranche of your money equal to your current account. Pay, prove to us that you've paid, and then we'll release the rest. Alternatively, enter into credit arrangements and send us a signed credit agreement that you are going to adhere to. And so it is really a corrective mechanism. The unintended consequences of not doing it would be worse, because then you have continued reduction in water pressure from water boards when they're not getting paid and they take credit control. Even though individual residents in those municipalities are paying for water, you have load reduction from Eskom because the municipality is not paying Eskom. And so the consequences of not acting is far worse. So I don't think that it is a negative action. It's also not intended to be a punitive action. It's intended to be a corrective action, and I support the Treasury in that 100%. We have launched mayoral candidates in all of what we call our strategic municipalities, where we believe we have a shot at becoming the largest party. And so that is where we have done that. It's in excess of 60. We will not be announcing mayoral candidates for all 247 councils. We will be, of course, submitting full lists for every single municipality and for every single ward for 4,484 wards in the country. And where we spring surprises, of course, we have internal processes ready to make sure that we can, from our elected lists, put people into place. The list process is quite vigorous, whether you want to be a mayor or just an ordinary councillor. And so we are putting forward the most talented people available so that we can be ready to govern anywhere. So now, about the public protector reports, it's quite critical. The public protector does inspections all over the country, and this was one of those in the Cape. And I have no doubt that when the public protector continues her work across the rest of the country, that she will continue to find other municipalities where corrective action needs to take place. The public protector is a Chapter 9 institution she must continue to do her work independently. And we will remediate all of her findings, of course. And in many cases, if you read the report, we had already remediated many of her findings before she had published the report and had indicated in that report itself. So that is not a cause for concern. We welcome scrutiny for our governments, and we will continue to deliver as best we can within the resources we have. I think on the question of the 6 or 9 provinces lists already, the reality is that there are no problems in the other provinces. The federal executive just needs to sit to consider the lists as they come. We have a multi-step process. We've got a federal candidates election committee that looks at the validity and technical compliance of the lists. And when that process is complete, it goes to the federal executive for final ratification. So when those lists are completed and ready, they go to the federal executive approves them, and then we will proceed. So there are no issues in that space. I think, Vanna, you got the question about energy, but I'm sure you might want to add to some of the others.
Yeah, look, maybe firstly on the 6 out of 9 provinces, Asher is quite correct. Some of them is just because the federal executive has not found the time to meet. I want to say that in the case of one province, we've allowed a bit of leeway in terms of our own internal deadlines, and that is for the simple reason, and that province is KZN. And it's not because we have internal issues, but it is because of the very specific dynamics presented by the massive change in the electoral landscape in KZN in 2024, where our structures there felt strongly, and we agreed with them, that they must be allowed to, let's use the term headhunt very specific candidates, which will best position us to win more wards than ever before. So that's the simple reason why KwaZulu-Natal is slightly behind the curve in respect of the other provinces, but they're still well positioned to finalize their selection processes before the IEC's cutoff. And that's, once again, just a testimony as to how, let's say, serious political parties should react to changes in the electoral landscape. It's no longer just a matter of necessarily electing your branch chairperson as a candidate because of that fragmentation in the outcome in wards are now positioned to surprise everyone and win a ward where it has been held by other parties for very long. In respect of the comments around maintaining energy, momentum, and you link that to let's say voter fatigue and the general apathy out there. Look, firstly, we, of course, try and announce certain stopping points on the road to 2026 internally, at least. So that would mean that after the registration weekend, we allow our forces 48 hours to rest, and then they hit the canvassing part of the campaign trail, so to speak. Now, I'm just making a joke. But the long and the short is so people can plan accordingly. We have certain leave periods after important stopping points on the road to 2026. And it's ultimately structured to position us to deliver the best outcomes with both candidate selection, but also to be able to build our credibility in communities where we've previously not had the best results. Around voter fatigue and voter apathy out there, it is, of course, a reality. We've seen a decline in voter turnout over many election cycles. And one of the ways in which to address it is, of course, to knock on more doors than ever before. There's nothing that beats looking a voter in the eye and asking them, despite their previous disappointments around service delivery, to trust somebody new. So one of the ways in which we hope to address voter apathy and fatigue is by engaging more voters in person than ever before. And then lastly, maybe I want to say that there's, of course, in politics a very true adage to say that, unfortunately, because of voter fatigue and apathy, sometimes when you're sick and tired of your own message, some voters hear it for the first time. So whilst I have an appreciation that members of the press, for example, who follow politics, might think it is a bit of an overkill, the reality is we need to also reach voters whose lives do not turn on politics, because their votes will be equally important come the 4th of November. Thanks.
Thank you, Ashur and Werner. Any final questions before we close? Mbala?
Hi, thanks. Just one question on Johannesburg. You'll be launching your manifesto in Joburg. The ANC has a possible candidate of Reverend Frank Chikane. He's being touted amongst the leading candidates there. Will he give Helen a good running for her money, or is this a gift from the ANC in Joburg? And just one other question on Joburg. It's a relatively young city. The ANC and the DA are fielding the two oldest candidates, or possibly the ANC. It's not confirmed. Is this not an issue? People may raise issues around the recycling of old leaders in the Joburg context in both respects. Does Joburg not need perhaps a younger face like a Jordan Hill Lewis or a Zoran Mamdani? Does it not maybe deserve maybe a demographically younger person in your view, Ashur? Thank you.
Ash, happy to take.
So, the ANC has gifted Johannesburg a series of terrible mayors. And the truth is, they've broken trust so much that I don't really think the idea of a new dawn leader sells with the electorate anymore from them. And they need to introspect about the choices they've made up to now, including allowing mayors from parties that get less than 10,000 votes to hold the mayorship in Johannesburg. So the gift the ANC has given us is that they've actually run the place into the ground to the point where people are desperate for change in Johannesburg. And I don't think that there is anyone that they can put into Johannesburg right now that can rescue them, quite frankly. As for Helen's age, Helen is in her 70s going on her 40s, as you've seen with her swimming, her rowing, her abseiling, and so on. What Johannesburg needs is someone who's going to deal with the fact that the mafia state has set into the supply chain networks and has the fortitude to go and deal with those tender networks and clean them out, and who has the experience of having done so, having taken over two ANC governments in the past and having turned them around. Because fundamentally, if we don't rescue Johannesburg from corrupt mafias, water tanker mafias, and tender networks, we are never going to get it working. And so what Joburg needs is not a face, it needs someone who's going to solve the underlying structural problems. And who better to solve the underlying structural problems of Johannesburg than someone who did it in the city of Cape Town and in the Western Cape Province? It's not about the optics, it is about the actual work that's being done. And if you speak to voters in Johannesburg, I think you'll find that they literally just say to you, we just want someone who's going to fix the streetlights, sort out the potholes, and so on. I live in Ekurhuleni, and I know, and on the border of Johannesburg, and I know where Ekurhuleni ends and Joburg starts, because the darkness begins on that side, because there's no streetlights, at least on my side of the world. Streetlights aren't great in Ekurhuleni, but at least where I live, they do work. But I know where Joburg starts, for example, in the evenings. So I think that the DA has put forward Helen as the best option for Johannesburg, precisely because of her track record, precisely because she will clean up corruption, because she will get her hands dirty, because she will give that city and its administrative team the kind of decisive leadership that will begin to rescue its finances. Once the finances are sorted, you can start rescuing the essential services. And once the essential services are sorted, you can start moving towards growth again in that city. And so I'm fairly confident. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this press engagement. Thank you very much for your attendance. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
We are launching launching our first ever election campaign poster for November 2026 local government elections.
There's nothing as disappointing as you wanting to make a change or waking up and saying, I want to make a change, but only to find out that you are not registered or you are registered in the wrong place.
Because if you're not registered, you can't vote, and you can only vote at the voting station where you are registered.
Even if you don't know who to vote for yet, buy yourself the option by registering to vote. Decide to be part of the group that decides what the future of our city should be.
But today we stand here excited and full of hope because we have an opportunity where we can register and ensure that we vote for a government that will get our city working for its people.
The choice is going to be very, very clear. You're going to have some of the same, where you have a failed government in place, or you're going to put a new government in place led by the Democratic Alliance. And we are asking you to come out in your numbers and register to vote and vote for the Democratic Alliance on the 4th of November.
So make sure that you are registered by going to check.da.org.za. You can register right now in the comfort of your own home. Remember, go to check.da.org.za
and come and vote for a new government on the 4th of November. Kyk wat doen 'n blyse.
Thanks for watching. Join the mission to rescue South Africa. Like and follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. Join the DA, because the DA gets things done.